Hi, I'm Mark Cox. I run a company called InTheFunnel Sales Coaching and Consulting, and we do sales workshops for B2B salespeople, and we also do what's called sales enablement consulting. But back in 1989, 1990, I ran a territory for Student Works Painting. And I'd come from the University of Western Ontario. Back in those days, life at Western was pretty comfortable. I was taking an economics degree. Wasn't a tremendous amount of work if I remember back in the day. High school had been very, very busy and involved with sports and extracurriculars and academics, but university seemed a little easy comparatively, and except for the social life, which kept everybody busy. So at the time, I think I was looking for a summer adventure that was going to raise my game to the next level. And so I had noticed around the campus numbers of people who had actually been involved in the Student Works program. And these were older students in some cases, but I was very impressed by them. Their professionalism, how they had themselves together. Many of them had cars, which many of us didn't back in the day in university. So I was pretty intrigued by the whole Student Works program. And I went through the interviewing process and eventually came on board. And when I look back now, the amount of things that I learned the first 2 summers of being a manager with Student Works, quite unbelievable. And I would say in the period of time, the January to kind of May timeframe, never have I actually experienced a development curve that was that steep, meaning learning so much so soon. When you run your own business, you develop really key skills in terms of sales. Number 1, selling the paint jobs. Number 2, people management. Managing the team of painters executing on the projects was very, very significant. And then managing the client through that process, also spectacular experience. Very, very difficult thing to do, but you enabled your success through the guidance of the Student Works program. And I was looking back in terms of what I do now, looking back to the day then, the sales training was spectacular. And then secondly, the coaching that you got from your district manager was spectacular. So in my day, I worked directly with Chris Thompson. He was my district manager. And every night, every second night, we'd be having conversations. And he was, to this day, here I am 25, 30 years later, he was still one of the best managers I ever had. Because he wasn't just inspecting what I was doing, but he was actually coaching and motivating. And today, when we coach very senior sales leaders to do things, we focus on those same 3 traits. So it was absolutely, when I start to think of the experience that I got from the Student Works program, it was unbelievable. So all of it, first of all, very tough thing to do for that 4-month period, but day in, day out, if you put in the energy, if you were batteries included, there was a very, very good chance of material success. And that's what people received. So you had people on campus, and I was fortunate to be one of them, who made a very, very good income as a student going through the Student Works program. Came out of it, my confidence had increased, my belief and self-esteem in terms of what was capable had increased. For me, it ignited a massive passion for business, and I was missing that direction while going through my economics degree at Western. So I hadn't really found my path or direction for post-university, and the Student Works program triggered me to a love of entrepreneurship, which to this day has continued. And then secondly, just this desire to learn more about business, because you were living business every day. Spectacular program. I, in fact, went through the Student Works program for 2 summers and then became a district manager for a couple of years after that. Post Student Works, when I was looking to start my corporate career, I think what became very evident to anybody I interviewed with at the time was the sales skills were so easily transferable. So for people coming out of college or university, they really have no sales skills generally. people going through the Student Works program had spectacular sales skills. And even the corporate world, which is not always the best at identifying skills, could identify the sales skills on me at the time. So I started into a career of selling, photocopiers, then other technology, then outsourcing services. That all culminated where at one point in time I closed $1 billion transaction because of the development of a sales kind of core skill set. At the time, though, when I was just starting a corporate career, the only technology around in those days was large photocopiers, because this was pre-internet, 1996, pre-1996. So most of the big photocopy companies, whether it was Xerox or Canon or even Kodak, they would actually look for people who had been through the Student Works program because they had executive recruiters who knew how valuable the training was. So most of my peers in Student Works ended up selling for other companies as well. That was the skill that was very easily transferable. Looking back now, some of the skills that I really thought were valuable was the ability to manage the team, the people management skills. No matter what you're going to do in life, that is something that's inherently valuable and a difficult thing. There's a real learning curve there. So managing and motivating the team to paint for the entire summer, do quality work. And again, I love the immediacy of the business. You're going to sell the paint job, you bring the crew in to deliver the work, and immediately upon finishing, you're trying to extract the payment from the client. So everybody knows if the work isn't up to snuff, you're actually not going to get the check, or it's going to be a very difficult thing. There were certainly some very difficult moments. Anytime you want to develop personally or professionally, you've got to jump outside that comfort zone. And I would say that first summer with Student Works for me was a massive jump outside my comfort zone at the time. And it was necessary and really triggered almost a lifelong learning desire for me, which continues to this day as I always continue to focus on learning and development and trying to jump outside the comfort zone. Overall, the experience was massively positive for me. And in fact, since then, I've kind of worked personally, I estimate, with somewhere between 700 and 1,100 salespeople through my sales career in the corporate world and all the training and consulting we've done now in the last 6 or 7 years here within the funnel. And we still look for Student Works graduates, if you will, alumni from the Student Works program, because they're spectacular young business professionals. And candidly, we've just hired one for In the Funnel because we're so impressed with the program. So I have nothing but massively positive things to say, and the experience Student Works had on my life. And in fact, I continue to be inspired, frankly, by Chris Thompson. So the way he runs the business today, his passion for developing people and love of coaching. And even today, I find his energy and enthusiasm absolutely contagious.